Are you tired of not getting the movie you pre-ordered on release day? Well, in this video, I'm going to give you some tips on how you can better your chances on actually getting that very popular 4K disc on that Tuesday. I've got to say, collecting physical media in 2025 is a rather interesting experience. We have all the media and popular news articles are saying that physical media is dying and that nobody really wants this stuff. But come every Tuesday, when it comes to a very, at least popular 4K release, a lot of times you can't find it anywhere, whether the online retailers are selling out, in-store is not picking it up or having it available. And there's sometimes, many times actually, in the comments section, when movies such as Tombstone and Kingdom of Heaven on 4K, people are saying in the comments, I have not been able to get my copy. My copy's late, my copy's delayed, or they canceled my copy. So I thought I would put together a list of sorts of tips and tricks that can help better your chances on getting that popular 4K disc on release day. And before I begin, I have to say, this is not some kind of guarantee that if you follow everything I say, you are absolutely going to get everything you ordered on that particular Tuesday. But as somebody who has been collecting physical media for at least 30, 35 years at this point, I've learned a few things. And you've got to kind of adapt with the times. As I mentioned, physical media is a shrinking market, but there are always things that are beyond any of our control. But as I said, in all the times I've ordered things and expecting a Tuesday delivery, I would say 95% of everything I've ever ordered for a Tuesday delivery has showed up on Tuesday. I encourage you to put in the comments section below, as I do always, what are some things that you can tell the rest of us that will help get you that hard to get 4K release on a release day Tuesday? Now, the first thing is, and this should seem obvious, but a lot of people, I really see this a lot in the comments to the contrary, you need to pre-order early. And I'm talking within, I would say, a day of a 4K going up for pre-order. Now, this, of course, is something that is purely, you have to be very much in tune with release date announcements or anything that's going up currently. Now, if you are a subscriber to my channel, when a 4K title goes up for pre-order, I almost always within the day post that listing up on my community page. But of course, there are various websites you can also go to that put stuff up for sale as soon as it goes live. And there's no rhyme and reason as to when the studios do these announcements or pre-order listings when they go live, but you can start seeing hints out there. You start seeing early retailer listing, like Barnes & Noble is a famous retailer for putting stuff up preliminarily, maybe just before a lot of the other major retailers. So that just tells you that, okay, Target, Amazon, Walmart, those are going to follow very, very soon. Now, when I say pre-order early, I mean you have to. You really have to. I can't tell you how many times in the comments, oh, I pre-ordered this and I still haven't gotten my, 4K on release day. When did you pre-order it? Oh, yesterday. I'm sorry, it's just a lot of times, especially when it comes to the most popular releases, Tombstone, once again, for instance, that one sold out very quickly and they are still waiting to replenish stock. I know a lot of the online retailers are getting behind that, so you will get it eventually, but if you're expecting a 4K release of a very popular movie to get on release day and you wait till literally the last minute, chances are you're not going to be getting it on that day. Now, on the flip side of that, I also see in the comments many people saying, oh, I did pre-order this on as soon as it went up and I didn't get it. This is outside circumstances. Who knows what the reasoning is? As far as I know, when it comes to online retailers, it is a first come, first served basis. So if you order it on, let's just say May 1st, as soon as it went up and then somebody ordered it on July 15th, the May 1st person is going to get priority. That's how it usually works with online retailers. So, but there's always going to be somebody that doesn't get it. And this isn't with every 4K release. Certain titles are going to be a little bit more popular than others. But I will touch on this point additionally in a few moments. But yes, You need to pre-order as early as possible to better your chances of getting a 4K disc on that release day, Tuesday. Which leads me to my second point, know your movie. And when I say know your movie, if you are dialed into the 4K collector space, you should have a very good understanding of what movies are going to resonate or be more popular and harder to get well before it actually gets released. I keep going back to Tombstone, but let's talk about Kingdom of Heaven. That movie, very much anticipated in the space, and a lot of people did not get theirs on release day. You can also talk about, not meeting demand and that kind of thing. That's a whole other topic. But if you want something as very popular as, Kingdom of Heaven or Tombstone, or if you're going, to certain other titles, let's talk about Arrow Video's Dark City. I can definitely see this one getting a delay. It comes out in a few weeks. I was lucky enough to get mine directly from Arrow the other day. But when that comes out, I see a lot of people probably going for that one. And I could see that one also being very difficult to acquire on release day. There are a lot of 4K releases that happen every week, sometimes one, sometimes a couple, or three or four or five. But not every movie is going to have that sought after factor. Know your movie, know the popularity, know if it's something that a lot of people have been asking for. Once again, you can go to various websites, forums, Reddit. They will all give you a barometer of how popular something's going to be and how difficult it will be to get. My third point goes hand in hand with my second, and that is know your label. And when I'm talking about label, I'm talking about either major studios such as Warner Brothers, Disney, Sony, and then there's also the boutique labels such as Vinegar Syndrome, Arrow Video, and Shout Factory. Those are just some examples, but especially in 2025, you have to keep an eye on certain ones a little bit more because they often underestimate demand for their 4K releases. The big one is Disney/Sony. I know I keep going back to Tombstone and Kingdom of Heaven, but those two in particular are big examples and of cautionary tales. How you need to be on the ball with these labels. So if there's a movie that comes out, especially from Sony or /Disney, you need to probably lock in your pre-order extremely early for this one. That is just how it goes. But if a movie comes out from Disney, you need to be really aware of it. And I'm not necessarily talking about current theatrical stuff. Those can be a little bit more readily available. I know the recent MCU release of Captain America: Brave New World, that I didn't feel really, the demand wasn't exactly overhyped for that one. And it was readily easy to get from what I understand. But there are also labels when it comes to the boutique market. You do have Vinegar Syndrome. Be aware that a lot of their titles are very limited. They're within a couple thousand. Michael Mann's Keep, or The Keep, that came out from Vinegar Syndrome late last year. That one sold out almost within days of it going live. Not every release they do has that kind of urgency or popularity, but you do need to check Vinegar Syndrome releases because a lot of them are limited and they don't replenish. And of course, Arrow Video also, as I said, Dark City, I really anticipate that one becoming something a little harder to get. And I also believe when Conan the Barbarian was released from Arrow, that was also a little difficult to get on release day. And back in the old days, when steelbooks were more retailer exclusive, those were also really hard to lock in. So you had to pre-order those a lot earlier than you would a standard slipcover. So that's not so much of a thing these days because a lot of times the steelbooks are not necessarily retailer exclusive. But if you're a steelbook collector, you probably still want to lock it in early. You never know when there might be some kind of surge in demand. And the last point I want to include in this video is know your retailer. Yes, you even have to know what retailer you are dealing with in order to get your 4K releases on that Tuesday. There are tons of online retailers, and I gotta say, none of them are perfect. But you do have some really good ones out there that are very consistent. You have Amazon, of course, Walmart, Groove, you have Orbit DVD, you have, There are a lot of online retailers. Deep Discount is one that I'll talk about in a few seconds. But as I said, none of them are perfect. Amazon is really only useful if you have Prime. And ever since the pandemic, they just have not been as accurate or as reliable for Tuesday releases. I would say nowadays, when I order from Amazon, 90% arrives on Tuesday, but you're also going to sometimes get delays, whether it's manufacturer delays and Amazon doesn't get their stock in time or they oversell. But you also have Target, and I feel Target is you pay for the shipping a lot of times. But I don't feel you get a lot of their releases on the actual Tuesday. Walmart can be hit or miss. I've gotten stuff a couple days early from Walmart, and I've also gotten stuff a lot late. They're very inconsistent, but they are reliable most times when it comes to actually having things in stock. And Deep Discount, is a major online retailer for physical media, but they haven't done release date delivery, at least for me, in years. Usually it's about a week or maybe even longer that you get your stuff. There, there are a lot of retailers out there, and of course you can look online in the various forums and Reddit about which ones are a little bit more reliable when it comes to actually getting it on release day, but you have to take into consideration shipping, and there's a lot of factors. So know your retailer. Is this retailer going to be more than likely able to get stuff on the actual day? I have a few that I typically go with. I'm mostly in Amazon, Groove, and Walmart. I didn't even really talk too much about Groove. Groove is great because 9 times out of 10, you get your stuff about a week before. I don't know if that's some sort of secret or something, but I like Groove a lot. So know your retailer. It is essential to getting your 4K physical release on Tuesdays. So those are the tips that I am passing along to you as somebody who has been doing this for 30, 35 years now. Once again, not a guarantee. These tips are only going to help you better your chances to get that essential Tuesday delivery because let's face it, gone pretty much are the days you'll be able to go into any brick and mortar electronics store and pick up a 4K disc, Blu-ray disc, or whatever. Those days are pretty much over. There's a couple of holdouts, of course, such as Walmart, but really the bulk of buying physical media in 2025 is online. So these are just things that will help better your chances. But now I leave it to you. What helpful tips would you pass along to us that helps better your chances of getting that 4K Tuesday delivery? Sound off down below. In the meantime, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. So until next time, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365. I will see you at the movies.